What's up, guys? Welcome back to True Tracker Uncensored. I know it's been a while since I've done a podcast. We've been working on so many videos this year. We literally have like 10 videos stacked up. And since the beginning of the year, it's been my goal to get ahead of you guys, the viewers, and keep ahead of you guys so that I can bring out new videos and new podcasts each and every week. And we actually got some awesome locations that really blow your mind, and they took a lot longer to film, so it took longer for me to get some of the projects done than I had expected. But now we're coming back, we're putting out new videos each and every week, and starting new podcasts. And as I'm starting new podcasts, I'm meeting new people to podcast with, and one of those new people is joining me tonight. Her name is B. How you doing, B? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Fate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
Awesome. I'm doing good. Hey, guys.
So, what made you decide to want to get into podcast?
I mean, really, I'm a nerd.
A
I
nerd?
always listen. I'm a nerd. I always listen to certain podcasts when I'm playing Sims 4.
Sims 4?
Yes.
I never got into Sims. I remember back in the day in like high school, Sims, people would joke around that Sims was so real, and they'd be like having sex in Sims.
Yes. Yes. Right now, one of my Sims has twin daughters. They're both vampires because she slept with the vampire, but then I made the vampire die, so she has to be a single mother just kicking it.
Damn, I didn't know it was that deep. It has vampires.
Yeah, they have vampires in there. Vampires, mermaids, and they added a wolf pack once where you can become a werewolf now. I love playing it. It's literally the only game that I really play. I mean, I play other games, but not as much.
Right. Is it like a world? I don't think I ever played it. Is it like a literal town you live in with other people?
Like when you buy the only thing that does suck about it is that when you see other Sims walking around in your game, they're just computers. They're not like an actual person playing from somewhere else.
I thought they did that.
No, that's the only sucky part about it. Is that you're not actually playing with another real person. There's rumors that they may do something like that for Sims 5, but they have so many bugs sometimes in Sims 4 that I feel like it's going to take like a long time for them to get to that point. But yeah, when you buy like the expansion packs or just the little things that you can add on to the game, you get a world. So you originally start with, I want to say, like 1 or 2 worlds. And then as you buy stuff, you get more worlds.
It's kind of like the metaverse before the metaverse.
Yeah. I mean, basically, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I'm in the mood today to ruin somebody's life. And that is what I do. And that is what I do.
And then what do you do? Like go next door and like break in the house? Do the police come and all?
No, there's no cops in it, but it is funny because like I make up storylines, like just stories in my head to play along in the game, just to make it more fun to me. And my one Sim, I had like a really nice house that she lived in. And then I had a basement. Her bedroom was in the basement because there was this room that I built and I made the walls all glass and I started trapping like a whole bunch of only male Sims in there.
Male Sims.
And I wouldn't feed them. Like I would give them the most uncomfortable bed. I would try to make them fight. Like,
wow.
And I had a big chair that I would sit her in right in front of the glass and she would just sit there and watch. So when I say I'm gonna wake up and ruin some lives today, that is what I'm doing. I want it on the computer though. I have it on PlayStation 5. I
Oh,
do
you
want
got
it on the
PlayStation.
computer because that's when you can do the mods and all that, and their mods are crazy. Like that's when you can kill each other and you can make your sim a whore and just all this stuff.
Sounds like you ever heard of a online game called Second Life?
Mm, I don't think so.
There's a game on the computer that I used to mess around with, and it's kind of like the whole metaverse idea, but they've been doing it for a long time, and it's called Second Life. It's free to go on there, and they literally have their own economy on there. They have it's a whole world, and it started out with like 10 game designers, and they made an island, and all these people started joining online, and they literally started building houses on the island. Now it's like a whole continent, and it's been growing for like 10-15 years now, and they have literal people in the game who make their living in the real world through the game, and they design clothes, they design, yeah, I swear this is the craziest thing. They design like they'll even have house builders, and they'll be real Second Life game designers who you can go to their shop and talk to them and say, all right, I want to do this. And the money in the game converts to real life money. Like you can convert
That
it.
is crazy.
Yeah. And I used to poke around in it, but I would get frustrated because it's difficult, because when you start out, you don't have nothing. So
Right.
literally, there's DJs, there's clubs in the game where the DJs are real DJs. So they're DJing from their home, and then the whole club is packed with characters dancing and stuff. They're all real people. And the DJ gets hired for the night, and he makes real money to come in and DJ that night in the game club.
That is
And
crazy.
yeah, it's called Second Life. But I would get, like I said, I would get frustrated because when you start the game, you have to find a job. And literally, there's all kinds of jobs. You can work in a fast food restaurant. You're really going to find a job. And then when you do go in, you really are filling out an application. And then you're really going to sit down with someone who's going to ask you questions in an interview. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
That is crazy. That is really cool, though.
Yeah. It takes a lot of time to get used to it, though.
Right.
Like, I have the Oculus glasses, too, that I was messing around in. And
How do you like that?
I think that's amazing. The Oculus glasses are like, see,
Because
I stopped
I'm
playing
like
games like that.
I'm on like the fence between the Oculus and the VR that comes for the PlayStation because they apparently redid the PlayStation one.
Yeah, my brother is like a game fanatic, and that's what he says. He says the PlayStation's way better. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. But I don't play games anymore because I focus so much now on making videos all the time. Anytime I'm free, I'm like, I'm going to film somewhere.
Right.
So it's like I don't focus that much on games. But what I really loved about the Oculus is I know how to edit videos, but I'm also a graphic designer. So I can do like Photoshop designing and drawing and stuff like that. But I also, when I got the Oculus, which was amazing, is I could make 3D designs in the apps on the Oculus, and move my head around and be inside of my, like I can make a building and build every detail of the building, and it's like I'm standing in the building. That just blew my mind.
I was gonna say, weren't we in the same graphic tech class?
Where are we?
I want to say we were
Where at?
in high school.
Overly, or which one? I went to multiple
Oh,
high
that's right.
schools.
You went to multiple ones. Overly.
Overly?
Yeah, I want to say we were in the same class.
What was the class called?
Graphic design. It was either graphic design or graphic tech. I can't remember exactly what they called it. but it was in the lower level across from the ROTC room.
Dude, I got such bad memory. I can't even remember the inside of Overly that well.
Like, it's horrible. I still remember what the inside looks like.
The only thing I can really remember about Overly is like the walkway where the sunlight come through when you walk down to the cafeteria.
Sunshine Alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I was in theater in Overly. I think it was Overly.
I was gonna say I was in theater there too.
Yeah, and he used to always try to get me to remember like Shakespeare, and I would never practice it, and then I'd show up for class at the last minute. He'd be like, "Go on stage," whatever, bro, and I would just go up there and make up stuff.
So I tried.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll take a break for now. Yeah. Well, we got about one more minute. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce everybody to B. She's going to be doing podcasts with me in the future. We're going to go to a quick break real quick, and then we're going to come back and discuss the Gabby Petito case, which is what I've been trying to get back to for so long, guys. Between trying to get a jump on the videos, filming, editing, working full time, and everything else. Plus, the Gabby Petito case for a while didn't have any updates. And then when it did have an update, I think the only update they really had is the letter. Isn't that right, B?
Yeah, that was the newest thing that came out.
Yeah. And before that, I think the last update was like when they found Brian Laundrie, I think.
Yeah. I was gonna say I actually have the whole timeline written out for us.
Yeah, we can definitely discuss that. So we're gonna take a break real quick, guys. Just go to a quick commercial real quick, and we'll be right back with you guys. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm your host, Fate, and I'm still live with B. B, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Fate. Can you hear me?
So right before we went to break, we discussed getting into the Gabby Petito case, and I've been looking to get back to the Gabby Petito case ever since I dug so deep into that whole ordeal, and I actually built basically what the FBI does, an entire case file of the entire incident that involved Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. So for a while there wasn't many updates after Brian Laundrie's body was discovered, but since my last time being live on the YouTube channel or being on the podcast, there has been some updates. But for anybody who hasn't been following along on the Gabby Petito case, or maybe has never even heard her name, me and B are going to run through some of the backstory of exactly what this crazy and tragic case entails. So, Gabby Petito, 22 years old, was an aspiring social media star who traveled the country with her boyfriend Brian Laundrie. In July of 2021, after retrofitting a Ford Transit van and taking on the title of van lifers, the two set off from Gabby Petito's hometown in Blue Point, New York, on a cross-country road trip. They visited numerous camping sites across the Midwest while documenting their travels on both of their Instagram pages. To the outside world, the two looked like a happy couple, living the life that many of us dreamed about. Things quickly took a turn, however, when in late August of 2021, photos on their pages became less frequent, and Gabby, who kept constant contact with her family on the regular, became distant. And when she did communicate with them, her messages didn't seem like her. On September 1st, Brian Laundrie returned to his parents' house. The shock of his parents being that he was alone and he was driving the van, which was Gabby Petito's van. When Gabby's family learned that Brian had returned and having lost contact with their daughter, they quickly attempted to reach Brian to figure out where she was, only to be met with the Laundrie family lawyer. What followed became known as the search for Gabby Petito, that became a viral sensation. From the police, the family, the internet at large, including even Dog the Bounty Hunter, poured through social media posts, everything on the internet, in an attempt to find clues to the whereabouts of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, eventually. Because, as we know, people who've been following the case, Brian Laundrie then later also goes missing. Although Brian Laundrie was the prime suspect, police were unable to arrest him because without proof that he had done anything to Gabby, they had no case. And during that time, Brian Laundrie fled his parents' home in Florida, and he also became known as a missing person. 2 weeks after Brian had returned home, Gabby's remains were discovered in a dispersed camping area known as Spread Creek near Yellowstone in Wyoming, while law enforcement in Florida continued to search now for the missing Brian Laundrie. The coroner who examined the remains of Gabby Petito ruled her death was caused by strangulation, and that news rocked the world. Her family was devastated and the internet was set on fire. As the search for Brian Laundrie continued, the facts surrounding what happened became clearer thanks to the police and the internet. Thousands of people the world over, and those who were living in the same area where Gabby and Brian were last seen, poured through their dash cams and surveillance videos and social media posts to piece together exactly what had happened to Gabby Petito. 1 month after Brian Laundrie had returned home alone, his remains were finally located near his parents' home in Florida at the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, where, according to police, he had been dead for some time and his remains were mutilated by animals. With the death of Brian Laundrie, all hope as to what went on in this crazy case became lost. Yet, supposedly, a letter was found with his body. And tonight, that's what we're going to be discussing, guys, because even with all the YouTube videos I made on the case, the maps, as you guys know, there's a map that was constructed of all of Gabby Petito's Instagram posts. We were able to go in and plot where she was when she posted them, and actually down to the exact location of where the photo was taken, all on a map that you can view on the Flightlife YouTube channel. It's part of the Truth Tracker investigation series. If you go on the channel, you can go to playlist, and then you'll see the Truth Tracker investigation series playlist, and then you'll see all the Gabby Petito information. But we were able to plot out to the smallest detail every whereabout, from people who had seen Gabby on surveillance video to their dash cams, to Gabby Petito's own Instagram post, to their trail posts that they did on multiple trail websites. And also we documented all of Brian Laundrie's whereabouts, all the way from all of his photos that he posted himself to any whereabouts that people recalled where he was. This is a tragic case, and it swept the world up in it as it unfolded. And even today, it's still unsure. Most people are still unsure exactly what happened, and it's sad that this woman passed away and was ruled to be killed by strangulation. But supposedly there was a letter now, all this time later, written by Brian Laundrie himself, that was found with his body in the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. And the weird thing about that is when the police found his remains in the Myakkahatchee Park, he was barely identifiable because supposedly animals had ripped him apart. So you're telling me that this letter survived, what was it, like a 3 weeks in the rain and everything. Isn't that what happened, B? So it was like that's how the letter was found.
5 weeks. He supposedly his body was out there for 5 weeks. The letter was inside of a journal or a diary inside of his book bag that was underwater.
And it was found by his parents, right? Or it was found by the police, but
it was found by the police.
Wasn't it like the parents had led them close to there, though?
To it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened, guys, when, so 5 weeks, during that 5 weeks, so when Brian, so I hope I wasn't, did I seem confusing with my backstory be at all when I was explaining it?
No, not to me.
There's a lot of details to this case, but anyway, so basically Gabby Petito had went missing in Wyoming, and Brian Laundrie had returned home in the that they both were living in, traveling around the country. Brian Laundrie returned home to his parents' house in Florida. Gabby's family was in New York. When he returned home in Florida to his parents' house, they were shocked because she wasn't with them. And that basically set in motion Gabby's family finding out that he had returned home and they had lost contact with her. That set in motion all of this. So there was a time period where when Brian Laundrie returned home for like 2 weeks, Gabby was missing and the police didn't arrest him or nothing. They went on national television and announced that they knew where Brian Laundrie was and he wasn't going nowhere. And Gabby was still missing, yet they couldn't arrest him because they had no proof that he had did anything to Gabby. And I guess he wasn't coughing nothing up that anything was wrong with Gabby. So then 2 weeks after he returns home, guess what? He ran. And Gabby's body had still not been found. So then when Gabby's body was found, then the search really began for Brian Laundrie. He became the prime suspect. And then, like he said, 5 weeks. So is that, I'm not exactly sure, is that 5 weeks after he had ran or 5 weeks after he had come home?
I couldn't find that part out. I just know that it said that it was in the water for at least 5 weeks, or his remains were there for at least 5 weeks. It's either the letter or his remains, but the letter is going to be there just as long as the remains are.
Do you have on your sheet, do you have on your timeline, do you have when they found the letter, the date?
I do not. No, the last thing I have on my end is November 23rd, and that is when Brian's cause of death was revealed. Hold on a second and let me see
if you have when they found his body.
If this brings when they found his body, that I do have. They found his remains October 20th.
Okay.
So it took them over a month to release his cause of death.
Yeah, he returned home in the van by himself on September 1st, I believe.
Yes.
September 1st of 2020, right?
Yeah, and by the time he arrived back in Florida, she was already missing for 3 days without anybody else knowing. But she was already missing for 3 days, technically.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, because when she was officially reported missing, like you said, that was almost 2 weeks later. She was already missing for 13 days.
Yeah. So he came back September 1st, and then he was found on October, what was it?
His remains was found October 20th.
Okay, so that's a month and 20 days since when he had come back in the van.
Yeah.
A month and 20, 5 weeks, right? 4 or 5, yeah. Or that's more. So they're counting from the time he ran. He ran around September 12th, I think it was.
Yeah, it wasn't the 12th. The 12th. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's August. It was actually September 17th. The police visited the Laundrie home and Brian was then reported missing. But the day that he goes missing was September 13th. Because my question with the parents is, if your kid's done been missing, why haven't you gone to the police?
Right. And he when he left the home the last time the parents had saw him, he took his Mustang, which was at his parents' house, and he told his parents. So, there's a lot of controversy about exactly what happened, but supposedly his parents were worried that he was leaving, didn't want him to leave. He left the parents' house in the Mustang and drove it to the Myakkahatchee Park, and they knew where he was. And then when they didn't hear from him, I think it might have been 2 days. When they didn't hear from him for 2 days, they drove over to the park and seen his Mustang in the parking lot. Still didn't call the police. Returned home, left a note on his car. Returned home, waited to see if he come home. He never came home. So then they called a tow truck to go get the car from the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, and got the car towed back to the house. And then not long after that, the police had found out he was gone. All this seem like the parents are involved here. Something's not right. So then for about 2 weeks of the search for Brian Laundrie, the police couldn't find him at all. They had no idea where the hell he was. It wasn't until the parents got involved, because the police couldn't find him. The parents finally got involved because the police asked them to help. And when they got involved, about a week, don't quote me on the exact amount of time, but soon after they got involved, suddenly Brian Laundrie was found. And with his body, which was completely destroyed by alligators and animals in the Myakkahatchee Creek National Park, or Environmental Park, was completely mauled by animals, almost unidentifiable. There was supposedly a white bag that was there around where his body was discovered, and I think they did dental checks to figure out who it was, and they ruled it as him. I think there was something to do with a gun too, right?
Yeah, because they're saying that he died from a gunshot wound, but me personally, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that he couldn't have died from a gunshot wound, but I'm a little sus on, did he do it himself? Did somebody else do it? Are they actually his remains?
Right. So how about, let's get to the letter. Let's see what this letter has to offer. So as you guys know, also, who have been listening for a while and following me on the Gabby Petito case, we have mapped out, like I said, all of the possible locations down to the exact photo locations of all of Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito's whereabouts throughout their trip before they had both gone missing. And there was some discrepancies in things that occurred when they were in Wyoming. What was that restaurant called, B, that was in Wyoming where they got in a fight at?
The only fight that I have is the one that happened August 12th when the Utah police received a 911 call witnessing Gabby being slapped by Brian, and that was 15 days before she went missing.
So they got in a fight in Wyoming at a restaurant, Mary Piglet's, that's what it's called. On August 27th, 2 p.m., a Tex-Mex restaurant in Jackson, Wyoming confirmed Wednesday that Blue Point homicide victim Gabby Petito and her boyfriend Brian Laundrie were indeed in the eatery and that they had notified the FBI. The acknowledgement from the Mary Piglet's Mexican Grill on their Facebook page came hours after an Instagrammer detailed sitting next to Petito and Laundrie as the couple argued on August 27th with workers inside the restaurant. The woman, Nina, and her boyfriend Matthew may have been among the last people to see Petito alive, because as me and B already discussed, he returned home September 1st, so this was August 27th. So they had confirmed that there was an argument at Mary Piglet's. So after that, on August 27th, the same day, there's a YouTube channel called Red, White, and Bethune, and they were driving in the Spread Creek area, which is close to Mary Piglet's, near Yellowstone National Park. And they had actually captured Gabby Petito's white van on their dash cam video on the same day that Gabby and Brian were seen arguing at the Mary Piglet's restaurant. Now, after that, the next update came. Brian Laundrie was picked up hitchhiking on August 29th at 5:30 p.m. And it was the witness to picking up Brian Laundrie was a girl who has a TikTok page named Miranda. And she confirmed, and it was confirmed, that Brian Laundrie was picked up hitchhiking at 5:30 p.m. on August 29th. That's 2 days after the Mary Piglet's incident, and 2 days after her van was spotted at Spread Creek. So he was picked up hitchhiking at a place called Coulter Bay Village, and he was dropped off near Jackson Lake Dam, which is working. So Coulter Bay Village is north of Spread Creek, a couple miles north. And he was hitchhiking, which makes no sense. And I'll tell you why in a second. So when he was picked up at Coulter Bay Village, this girl Miranda, who now today we know is 100% this was Brian Laundrie, she dropped him off at Jackson Lake Dam, which makes no sense because the girl says that when she picked up Brian Laundrie, he wanted to go to Jackson, which is a town in Wyoming. But along the way, he freaked out and started acting weird towards her, and then decided to get out at Jackson Lake Dam. So this is on August 29th. So at Jackson Lake Dam, then he started walking and tried to get another hitchhiking ride. His first ride that he caught, why get out at Jackson Lake Dam, which made no sense. These are all questions that are still up in the air. So then he gets in the car with another person near Pacific Creek. Brian Laundrie's picked up hitchhiking again. He's picked up by a lady named Norma Jean, who is a seasonal Wyoming resident from Florida. She realized she had also picked up Laundrie on August 29th and dropped him off around 6:30 at the Spread Creek's dispersed camping area. So for some reason, he was up north and he was hitchhiking. When if you look at this on a map, Spread Creek is south. So there's no reason why he would be north hitchhiking by himself. The reason why there's no reason is because later we find out that Gabby Petito's body was discovered at Spread Creek. So these hitchhiking incidents where people reported picking him up doesn't fit the story. Because if he was at Spread Creek with Gabby and he killed her at Spread Creek and he wanted to get home, he wouldn't go north. He is from Wyoming to Florida is southeast. So why was he up north? And why was he hitchhiking? And Gabby Petito, so you're telling me that he killed Gabby at Spread Creek and then decided to just run? I mean, I guess that could be possible, but he ran so far, then he decided to turn around and hitchhike back? Or could it be that when Gabby Petito's van was spotted in Spread Creek, that's not where she had died first off? It could be they were both at Spread Creek and parked the van, then hiked north up Coulter Bay Village. And then along the way as they were hiking, they got in an argument and he killed her. And then he had to get back to the van in order to get home, which was south, so he hitchhiked. which kind of does fit the letter, doesn't it, B?
Oh my God, yes.
So let's get into this letter. So viewer discretion advised, guys. We're gonna be reading the final words, supposedly, of a murderer, or I guess, yeah, he's a murderer, but according to him, he's not a murderer. I don't know what he is. He's righteous, maybe. I'm not calling Brian Laundrie righteous at all. I don't believe that this. I don't even partly believe that he wrote the letter, but I've gone over the letter already, so I know we're going over it first in the air for the first time. But viewer discretion advised. And go ahead, B, take it away. This is in his own words.
Okay, guys, don't forget, law enforcement ruled Petito's death as a homicide by manual strangulation and blunt force trauma to the head and neck. What I'm about to read is a 8-page handwritten letter from Brian Laundrie, which he claims that Gabby was the love of his life. Gabby, I wish I was right at your side. I wish I could be talking to you right now. I'd be going through every moment we made, getting even more excited for the future. I can't live without you. I've lost every day we could have spent together, every holiday. I'll never get to play with unintelligible again. Never go hiking with TJ. I loved you more than anything. I can't bear to look at our photos, to recall great times, because it is why I cannot go on. When I close my eyes, I will think of laying on the roof of the van, falling asleep to the sight of the meteor showers at the crystal geyser. I will always love you. If you were reading Gabby's journal, looking at the photos of our life together, flipping through old cards, you wouldn't want to live a day without her. Knowing that every day you'll wake up without her, you wouldn't want to wake up. I'm sorry to everyone this will affect. Gabby was the love of my life, but I know adored by many. I'm so sorry. I'm so very sorry to her family because I love them. I've considered her younger siblings my best friends. I am sorry to my family. This is a shock to them as well as a terrible grief. They loved as much, if not more than me. A new daughter to my mother, an aunt to my nephews. Please do not make this harder for them. It's occurred as an unexpected tragedy. Rushing back to our car, trying to cross the streams of Spread Creek before it got too dark to see, too cold, I hear a splash and a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find.
1 second, real quick. So I just wanted to make note of, he says right there, rushing back through the streams of Spread Creek. Just to make note of that. So according to him, they were rushing back to, I'm guessing, the van, and they're in Spread Creek. But go ahead, just make note of that.
Okay, fine. Okay. I hear a splash and a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment. Shouted her name. I found her breathing heavily, gasping my name. She was freezing cold. We had just come from the blazing hot national parks in Utah. The temperature had dropped to freezing. She was soaking wet.
Okay, 1 second. So I forgot that he had said that. He had said we had just come from the blazing hot parks of Utah, which that's a very interesting point in itself, because Spread Creek is in Wyoming, and hold on 1 second real quick, B. Utah. Okay, never mind. I was thinking wrong. Utah is south. I was thinking of Idaho. My bad. I'll cut that out. Go ahead. Go on.
I was thinking something else. Okay. I carried her as far as I could down the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted, and shocked. When
Okay,
my
one
knees.
second. One
Mhm.
second. Make note of, he just said, I carried her as far as I could down the stream towards the car. So they left the car. So remember what we were talking about earlier about why was Brian Laundrie so far north, hitchhiking back south? And I had come up with the possibility that he had been trying to get back to the van. But he was by himself when he was picked up hitchhiking. So go
Right.
ahead, continue. Just to make note of that.
Okay. When my knees buckled and I knew I couldn't safely carry her, I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat. She was so thin. I had already been freezing too long. I couldn't at the time realize that I should have started a fire first, but I wanted her out of the cold back to the car. Didn't he just say I started a fire?
Yeah.
And then comes back to say I couldn't at the time realize that I should have started a fire first.
Go through it again one more time, just a
That's what I was
couple
going to say.
lines.
Let me read that again. Okay. I carried her as far as I could down the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted, and shocked. When my knees buckled, I knew I couldn't safely carry her. I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat. She was so thin, had already been freezing too long. I couldn't at the time realize that I should have started a fire first, but I wanted her out of the cold back to the car. Okay, I'm thinking he's basically saying that he should have started a fire first before trying to carry her.
Yeah, it seems like that to me. It seems like saying, maybe I should have stopped a long time ago and started the fire.
Okay.
If these are even his words, but yeah, that's what it seemed like to me.
From where I started the fire, I had no idea how far the car might be.
Which that makes no sense.
Yeah, because on the map, the creek is not.
Well, even that, I mean, they've been traveling all this time in all these crazy parks and all this. You're gonna tell me that you wouldn't leave the car and know where the car is, exactly how to get back to it?
Right.
So that seems like a lie.
On that map, that creek is not that wide.
Yeah, see, that's why I like doing YouTube videos, because I could be like, look at this. This doesn't make no sense. What is he talking about, this creek? Because what B is talking about is, like I said earlier, guys, you can go onto our YouTube channel, but you can go to Google My Maps, and there's a Truth Tracker map it's called Truth Tracker Series 2, the Gabby Petito case, and it'll show you all of the locations where Brian and Laundrie were, including the including where he was hitchhiking at, around Wyoming, around Teton Village, around Grand Teton National Park. And when you look at where Gabby Petito's body was found, in the area where Brian's talking about right now, there's not huge waterways around Spread Creek. When you look at it on the map, these are like small channels, small creeks. I can't say 100%. I've never been to that area. I'm looking at it all on a map, but there's no large waterways where he would have to try to figure out a way around with her, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but according to my study of the map, I don't see any large waterways. If you look at, though, where he started, I we'll get to that in a second. I want to let you keep reading, then we'll get back to that. Go ahead, B.
All right. From where I started the fire, I had no idea how far the car might be. Only knew it was across the creek. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, she couldn't tell me what hurt. She had a small bump on her forehead that eventually got larger. Her feet Her feet hurt, her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her, she continuously made sounds of pain.
Not let alone that at any time, why can't you guys pick up your phones and call someone? Hello?
Exactly. He never once says, like, I tried to see if I had a service, signal, nothing. Like, he never once
Right.
says anything about his phone.
Or if you're carrying her all this time, carry her to the damn road.
Right.
Like, well, what are you carrying her all through the woods for still?
Right.
Craziness.
Her feet hurt, her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her, she continuously made sounds of pain. Lying next to her, she said, little gasping between violent shakes. Gasping in pain, begging for an end to her pain. She would fall asleep, and I would shake her awake, fearing she shouldn't close her eyes if she had a concussion.
So that right there too points out that because he didn't say anything earlier than right there that something was wrong with her head. Correct?
Right.
He had
Because
said
he said he didn't know what was wrong. She didn't know what was wrong, or he didn't know what was wrong. Somebody didn't know what was wrong.
well, he described that she had fell and turned around and found her in the water and she was in pain. That's all he really described.
Right.
So he's acting like she fell and hit her head on a rock or something.
Right.
So that's a good thing to take note of too. Because I think in the coroner report too, they said she had a mark on her head.
Yeah. She died by, of course, unfortunately, strangulation, but blunt force trauma.
Right.
Which means she unfortunately took a really hard hit to her head.
Right. Good point. I didn't think about that. I didn't think that through like that. I'm just looking up too. Go ahead. I'm just looking up something also.
She would wake in pain, start the whole painful cycle again while furious that I was the one waking her. She wouldn't let me try to cross the creek. Thought like me that this fire would go out in her sleep and she'd freeze. I don't know the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it is what she wanted, but I see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the moment I decided, took away her pain, I knew I couldn't go on without her. You couldn't go on without her, but you still did it.
Right.
Like, huh?
Yeah.
She would wake in pain and start the whole painful cycle again. Oh, wait a minute. I think I'm reading the same page again.
Take your time.
Okay, yeah, I saved the same page like twice. Sorry, guys. I rushed home to spend any time I had left with my family. I wanted to drive north and let James or TJ kill me, but I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake.
So who is James and TJ? I forgot to wonder about that.
I know TJ was a sibling, I want to say, of Gabby's. If it wasn't a sibling, then it was like a nephew or a cousin. It was somebody that he considered, his best friends.
Where do they live at?
Where did I see it? I saw it in a letter somewhere. When he talked about them, I want to say he talked about them as if they were siblings. Hold on.
I got I got it says Petito's siblings ranked oldest to youngest. Gabby is survived by her parents, Joseph Petito, Nicole Schmidt, and her sibling, TJ Schmidt.
Okay.
So what he's saying there is he wanted to drive north. See, the reason why I'm elaborating on that, because I wasn't sure if he meant like drive north of where they were located at that time, or did he mean get in the van and drive north to New York? So what he's saying there, he said, I wanted to drive home as fast as possible. And I also thought about driving north so TJ and could kill me. What he's saying is he thought about driving to Gabby's home, which is in New York,
Right.
instead of driving home to where his parents live, which is in Florida. Okay. So that doesn't connect to the hitchhiking at all. I was just making sure.
Right. I wanted to drive north and let James or TJ kill me, but I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake, even though I'm sure they would have liked to. I am ending my life not because of fear of punishment, but rather because I can't stand to live another day without her. I lost our whole future together. Every moment we could have cherished. I'm sorry for everyone's loss. Please do not.
You make no sense, dude. Like,
Yeah,
you literally killed her, and then you say this. No sense.
Right. Please do not make life harder for my family. They lost a son and a daughter. The most wonderful girl in the world, Gabby, I'm sorry. I have killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals may tear me apart.
See, now that's odd to me.
That is why it's just so, like, do you understand what I'm saying? He's saying that, and then they find the remains, and they're like, oh, animals got them.
Yeah, well, what's even stranger about that, what's even weirder about that is at the time he supposedly wrote the letter, Gabby was still not located. And so this is what bugs me. When Gabby was located, she had been it's really tragic to say it, but she had been somewhat eaten by animals. So
Right.
the fact that he elaborated in the letter right here about him now, he's gonna die, and he wants to make sure he's mauled by animals. Almost to me seems like he had known already at that point when the letter was wrote that Gabby had been mauled by animals.
Right.
So why elaborate about the animals?
Because that whole time that he was missing, nobody knew where he was. Yeah, he parked his Mustang at, the wildlife, park or whatever, but that don't mean he was anywhere around there. Do you understand what I'm saying? He hiked. He knew, the wilderness. He knew, those woods and everything else.
Right.
Who's not to say he parked that there, cut through them woods, and somebody drove him back.
Right.
That the first time he was there, he was digging that hole.
Right.
And knew, like, you know what, let me go home for a little bit, but I know I gotta come back to get rid of her. But by that time, I won't have as much to get rid of.
Oh, so you think that he, you gotta think of the mileage, though, between where she was found, though, and where he was located.
Right.
So, like, kind of what I was saying was, like, it kind of fits I'm really jumping off deep end here, but if he knew that Gabby was mauled by animals, what I'm getting at by what I'm saying is this. So where Brian Laundrie was hitchhiking at and picked up in the first hitchhiking trip was Coulter Bay Village, which was, I'll get an exact measurement right now, I'll tell you, which was, let's see, 10 miles from where Gabby Petito's body was discovered later. 10 miles. So right next to Coulter Village is Jackson Lake. And this is a huge waterway, guys. So as we heard in the letter moments ago, that Brian Laundrie said that they had left the van and went hiking, and they were by some large waterway, and she fell in the water and got injured. Like if you look around the Spread Creek area, there's not very large waterways. There's a somewhat large one. It's not very large though. North of Spread Creek, about, let me see here. North of Spread Creek, about miles from where the van was captured at where. So the van was parked on a road near Spread Creek, and about 4 miles into Spread Creek off-road is a waterway. And that waterway, though, isn't that big. And it would seem like if he had to carry her 4 miles, wouldn't be that far anyway. And he could get around that waterway pretty quickly. So you have to come to the conclusion that they were near some large waterway. And the largest waterway, when you're looking at the map around these areas, that you can find really is happens to be Jackson Lake. Well, right next to Jackson Lake is Coulter Bay Village, which Jackson Lake is 10 miles north of Spread Creek. So it seems like to me that they were around Jackson Lake. And if that's the case, then they were 10 miles from the van. But there's many roads around Jackson Lake, including Coulter Bay Village, that they could have went to get help. But anyway, so what I'm getting at, getting back to the animals and all, is if he killed her around Jackson Lake, he had 10 miles to get back to the van. 10 miles. He had to walk that or hike that. And he didn't, because he decided to hitchhike. So if he did do this, what I'm alluding to here, that means he had to leave Gabby Petito's body at Jackson Lake. He had to go back, get the van, and then he had to go back and get Gabby. So getting back to the animals and why it's so weird that he made sure to say in the letter that I'm going to die by this lake in Florida, and I hope to be mauled by animals. It's possible, in what I am coming to in my conclusions here, that he left her at Jackson Lake. He hitchhiked back to Spread Creek, which took a while. He got the van, and he went back and got her. When he went back and got her, Gabby Petito had been mauled by animals. That means at that time, Brian Laundrie may have picked up the half mauled now Gabby Petito, put her back in the van, drove 10 miles south back to Spread Creek. Maybe he thought that he would drive her. Who knows? But then he couldn't do it. So then he drove to Spread Creek, and he dropped her in Spread Creek. He had already known at that time that she'd been mauled by animals too. So the fact that he alludes in his letter, supposedly, that he wrote right here, that he wants to ensure that he dies by that lake in Florida and that he be mauled by animals, seems really strange to me. Doesn't it? Am I making any sense?
Is the fact that he wrote that mess down.
That he wrote that down. Why write that down? He could have just said, I'm going to kill myself, blow my brains out right here by this lake.
Right.
Whatever.
Like, whatever happens to my body, happens to my body.
Right. Why did he write mauled by animals? That is...
Right, the fact that you, like, pinpointed it. And then that's supposedly, right, like, what happened. Right.
Or he did something worse to her body, and he was trying the whole time to make it seem like
animals got a hold of her.
Animals got a hold of her.
Yeah. I mean, he was courageous enough to strangle her. So, right. I mean, if you can put your hands around the neck of someone that you supposedly love and strangle them in a not playful way,
Right. Right.
Like, that's like the nicest way I could put it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Then I don't doubt what else you're capable of doing.
Right. And and just another point to make. So when they got in the fight, and we can almost arrive at the date Gabby might have died by putting these clues together like this. So they had got in the fight at Mary Piglet's on August 27th. That her van was spotted at Spread Creek on that same day, August 27th, parked on the side of the road. Brian Laundrie was picked up hitchhiking, as I said, at Coulter Bay Village, August 29th at 5:30 p.m. So that's only between August 27th and August 29th. That's when she died. And I would surmise that he was hitchhiking at Coulter Bay Village August 29th at 5:30 p.m. I would surmise that Gabby Petito died on August 28th sometime. She could have died in the early morning hours of August 29th because he was hitchhiking, or she could have died August 29th. His first time he caught a ride hitchhiking was at 5:30 p.m. August 29th, and that was at Coulter Bay Village, which is right next to Jackson Lake. Which, if we're putting the pieces to get puzzle together too with the letter he's writing, seems to me like they were at Jackson Lake. So she probably actually died August 29th. And then he himself abandoned her body, caught a ride at Coulter Bay Village. And I honestly really believe, and I don't think it's ever been, the police haven't put out exactly what happened yet. I don't believe.
No, I haven't heard of what exactly happened or the exact date that it could have happened. Like, you think it might be the 29th? I think it could possibly be the 27th because of the fact of that's when their van was captured.
Right.
On tape. It seems to be that's when a lot of that location seems to be captured.
Yeah, but he says in his letter that they went hitchhiking. They went hiking and left the van. So, if they were seen on August 27th at Mary Piglet's fighting, at what time was that? They were seen at Mary Piglet's fighting at 1 to 2 p.m. August 27th. And then her van was spotted August 27th at 6:30 p.m. on August 27th. So it was almost dark on August 27th when her van was spotted, and then there was nothing until he was hitchhiking at Coulter Bay. So yeah, pretty much it could be any time between August 27th and in my opinion, August 29th. I think the police came out and said she died sometime between August 27th and September 1st.
On this thing, it says that she is believed to have been killed around August 28th. So yeah, I mean, 27th, 28th, and 29th all fit because it definitely was before the 30th because the last text message, that was when the last text message was sent from her phone, and of course that text message didn't seem logical.
No. And but to see the police never put out this information that we're discussing about the hitchhiking stuff. They haven't put out to the public exactly what went on with this hitchhiking stuff.
Right.
So I think that's a big clue. It's my opinion, and I could be wrong, but it's my opinion that she died somewhere around Jackson Lake, and that's my opinion. and that he left her at Jackson Lake and he went back and got the van by himself. He almost says that in the letter. He ended her life. He thought it was right. But see, what doesn't fit what you're saying here, Brian, is all right, then, I mean, I guess I'm jumping on a limb too, because it could be that they were in Spread Creek the whole time. And she fell in a smaller waterway. But if that's the case, then he would have been so far north hitchhiking, right?
Right.
So it's my opinion that I arose to the conclusion that they were by Jackson Lake when she was killed, and he went back and got the van by himself, and that connects everything, guys. If it was by Jackson Lake and then he went hitchhiking, that connects everything, because he had to get south to get back to the van, which was 10 miles away. He got the van and then he went back and got her. But what doesn't make sense about that is why get the van and then go back and get her, then bring her back to Spread Creek and drop her there.
Right. Why didn't you just leave her where she was?
Right, and just drive home from that point.
Right.
In my opinion, I think it's because he felt bad. Maybe, I don't even want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but for some reason, in my opinion, he went back and got her.
Right.
It could be, and I'm giving him a limb here, which I shouldn't be. It could be, no, because he said in his letter he killed her. I was going to say it could almost make sense that he built a fire and left to go get the van. But if that's the case, dude, then at your first place, Coulter Bay Village, or your first hitchhike ride, why didn't you say call ambulance?
Right.
So really nothing he says makes sense.
And I mean, that's my thing too. He didn't want to leave her and all, but I'm sorry, like, I'm gonna leave you. Like, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna go get help. Because me just staying here is not gonna help you.
Or, bro, I'm gonna light the biggest fire this
right,
mofo has ever seen.
Right, like, I'm gonna get somebody here one way or another.
Right. Like, if you don't want me to leave that bad, right, I'm gonna burn this whole forest down today.
I'm gonna burn everything down to get help.
Right. Like, none of it makes sense. None of it's they're far from a road, unless they went from Spread Creek and they went, like, it's all near roads, unless they went way up near, like, the Two Ocean Plateau south, like way up into the mountains. But he said he was by waterways, and he said Spread Creek. So it's my opinion it was Jackson Lake.
You said that is what I think.
Yeah. And was that the end of the letter? Did you get through it all?
It was literally just a little, like a couple more lines.
All right. Do you want to finish it real quick?
Yeah. Okay. I have killed myself by this creek in hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy. Please pick up all right.
I'm sorry. I had to cut it off again. See, he's in hopes it'll make their family happy. See, he even almost basically says that he knew she was mauled by animals.
Right.
That's a big clue right there.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Please pick up all of my belongings. Gabby hated people who littered. And then it goes on to tell you, like, that was the end of the letter right there. But it goes on to tell you that investigators found Brian Laundrie's confession in the notebook, which had been underwater for roughly 5 weeks. Yeah. Investigators found a revolver near Laundrie's skeletal remains in Northport, Florida. Now, my whole question is, what was the condition of this gun?
Right.
If the notebook was out there for 5 weeks, that's about, how long he gonna be out there? He's gonna be out there with the notebook.
Right. Like,
so what did the condition of the gun look like?
I think there was something, I don't know. Did they ever say anything about that?
I never heard anything about the condition of the gun. Because I'm sorry, you leave a gun outside, it's going to get weathered.
Right.
Whether it's the sun beating on it, the sun beating on it, it's going to fade. It can, like anything, like it's going to change it.
Right. Yeah. Supposedly there was an image.
Like, why was the notebook in the water, but the gun wasn't in the water?
Right.
What was the whole point of that?
Supposedly there was an image, too, of Gabby Petito, with a gun that resembled the gun that they had found, the revolver.
I remember that. It was like on her Instagram, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah.
That it resembled it.
And what I'm reading right here, it says the firearm was found at the same park Laundrie had visited with family in September, leading some to believe the weapon could be linked to the case. Christopher Sacco, 35, dredged out the black revolver, which was wrapped in a bag and secured to a rock with red and white twine. According to the Tampa Bay Times, Sacco and his friend had been fishing near a playground area at the park, which Laundrie stayed at with his family on September 6th and 7th. The weapon was handled. Brian returned. Hold up.
Okay, so they're saying that it was pulled out the water.
Well, no, this is a different gun. I think this is talking about a gun found at the remember they went to the camping site. So before Brian and Gabby had went on their trip, Brian Laundrie's family used to go to this camping site in Sarasota, Florida. And when they were still searching for Gabby at the time, they found a gun in that area. I think that's what this is about, actually. Let me double check. I believe this is the gun where it's wrapped up, because he couldn't wrap it up with something and drop it in the water if he killed himself with it, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I think this is a different gun, actually.
Okay.
Or no. See, I don't know. On January 20, 2022, the FBI released a statement confirming that Laundrie's remains were found along with a revolver. Fox News reported that when the Laundrie family handed over their firearms to the FBI in September, one was missing. It is not clear if this is believed to be the gun used in Brian's suicide. The remains in the articles belonging to Brian were found in a stretch of land inside the 24,000-acre park that until recently had been submerged in floodwaters. Laundrie had been reported missing, but that doesn't make no sense, because how could it be the gun that he committed suicide? It can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting confused.
Yeah, you can't shoot yourself and get rid of the gun at the same time.
Right.
That's not how that works.
It says the firearm was found at the same park Laundrie had visited with family in September, leading some to believe the weapon could be linked to the case. This is just a random gun. That's all that is.
Okay.
The autopsy for Brian Laundrie is... I don't think they ever found the gun. Like this article says here, it was revealed Tuesday her fiancé and a person of interest in her death, Brian Laundrie, died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, but that raises more questions, including where the gun is. If they are saying gunshot wound to the head and suicide, and we don't have a firearm at the scene, we have a big issue.
Right.
So I guess the gun was never found. That's what I'm saying. We haven't heard updates in so long. You gotta like backtrack. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the biggest thing. Because if you didn't find a gun, then did he even kill himself? Is there even a gun? Did somebody else do it?
And there was all that weird stuff going on at the time with the police. Like the police were doing a lot of weird stuff, huh?
Yeah.
I remember even saying live on my videos at times, like, I wonder if the police found him and killed him themselves and wanted him to die because of what happened to the girl, what happened to Gabby.
Or the fact that they knew, like, if anybody else found him, they knew what was going to happen.
Right. So as far as I can see on the updates, no, There has not been a gun found. Let me just double check, because we're running out of time here. We're getting into the late hours. Let me just double check real quick, because I don't want to give incorrect information either.
Right. Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, because I feel like that would be something that would be like all over the place. Like that would appear on every platform everywhere.
Was Brian Laundrie's gun ever found? Yeah, something doesn't make sense with that.
Yeah, they covered this story the whole time. And then all of a sudden, everything went hush hush.
Right.
Why is that with certain things? They cover it so much and then all of a sudden it's hush hush. Like you're not supposed to know something.
Right, here's an article from Independent UK, which says Brian Laundrie death, no gun recovered, and reports firearm belonging to a family is missing. And that's what they were talking about in that other article about finding the gun near the trailer park. A forensic anthropologist has ruled that Brian Laundrie's cause of death was suicide by way of self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Laundrie is the death of his fiancée, Gabby Petito. Miss Petito's remains were found in Wyoming, Bridger-Teton National Forest in September. Yeah, I don't think there's been an update on the gun situation.
Okay, so where the gun that they found was not.
Yeah, they're just.
Or they're saying it was not the gun.
Right. Well, and it's in a totally different area where they found that gun, the other gun that they're talking about. It's not like it was found in the area where he was found.
Okay. Yeah, see, they made sure they worded that a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to make them think we found it and everybody will just forget.
Right. And here's ABC 7, and it says, attorneys still no information from law enforcement on missing Laundrie firearm. Steven Bertolino, the attorney for the family of Brian Laundrie, tells ABC 7 that law enforcement witnessed the discovery of a missing weapon the day that they reported their son missing, and that police have not told them if the gun has been recovered. Laundrie, the sole person of interest in the homicide of Gabby Petito, was found deceased in Myakkahatchee Reserve in October. His cause of death was ruled to be self-inflicted gunshot. Attorney Steven Bertolino tells ABC 7 that media reports saying the Laundries did not immediately inform law enforcement about the missing weapon are inaccurate. Chris and Roberta Laundrie voluntarily surrendered all guns in their home to law enforcement on September 17th. At that time, it was discovered that one handgun was not in its case, Bertolino told ABC 7. Bertolino says law enforcement was in the home with the parent at the time the gun was opened. The gun case was opened and witnessed the discovery of the missing weapon. See, how can the parents not have known the gun was missing with all this going on?
That's what I'm saying.
Come on, bro.
The gun was missing. They didn't know their kid was missing. Like, I'm sorry. As a parent, I know where my kids are. I am grown and my mom knows where I am. Like, there's no way. Like, you didn't know your kid was missing, or you didn't feel as though you should notify the police. It took the police to come to your home for you to be like, oh, he's missing, by the way.
And it takes until the police are in your home looking through your gun case for you to be like, oh, there's a gun missing there.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Both law enforcement and myself felt it best for that information not to be public, explained Bertolino. So, according to him, So according to Bertolino, Brian Laundrie's family lawyer, maybe the police did know that the gun was missing long before, and they didn't tell the public.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of their movements and a lot of what they did, some of it was just very odd.
Very odd.
And a lot of stuff they weren't trying to release or they weren't trying to tell the public. And
For anybody who wants a free copy or who wants to use the interactive Gabby Truth Tracker Gabby Petito map with everything on there about the case, in all the right locations and everything, it's on Google My Maps. Just look up Truth Tracker, or you can go to our YouTube page. Excuse me. Or you can go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/flightlife, where you can find the Gabby Petito videos. And in the descriptions of all the videos, you'll find the links for the Google My Maps, where you can get the interactive map for free. It's free. It's free, guys. And we worked hard on this, including me and Kathy. And now B is helping me work on this case. You can also find all the links to their social media pages, any relevant information, links to the TikTok pages of witnesses who came forward. We built an entire case file on there. You don't even have to, if you really don't want to go through all their social media pages, because we already put it all in case files on the YouTube channel, which is a super deep case. And I'm truly happy that the internet and us, we were able to do any kind of help that we could in this case and figuring things out. Like I said, I still believe that whatever happened near Jackson Lake. And it's as far as we know right now, I think the case, Gabby Petito's family is actually in a lawsuit with Brian Laundrie's family, because like me and B were discussing right now, they believe that Brian Laundrie's parents knew that he had killed Gabby and they hid it. So that case is still ongoing right now, right, B?
From what I know, I haven't heard anything about it ending or being done. I do want to say that it is still ongoing.
Right. So there's going to be more updates in this case if they do the trial publicly, which they did a hearing publicly. So it seems like they will do it publicly. I don't know. So this is still an ongoing revolving case. I wish they would come out and try to at least let the public know what the police discovered about exactly what happened. Because, we have all this information, but it's just coming from news articles. It's not like the police came out and said this, and this is what we found. And
right, where they came out and said, here's my police report.
Right. I haven't seen nothing like that. I want to know about this damn hitchhiking. I want to know why.
Yeah,
why
there's a reason why he was moving back and forth. Like, right. You understand what I'm saying? There was something. He had a mindset to something and then changed it, because that is definitely what it seems like.
Yeah. And the gun.
Something and changed his mind. Yeah, and the gun. Like, that's not, I'm not understanding that. Like, how do you shoot yourself? Are you telling me an alligator came up and just took that gun?
Right.
He just walking around now like, I'm gonna go up in some woods and be like, hey, why you got that gun?
Yeah.
So, like, where is this gun? You
where's the gun?
Shoot yourself and the gun not be around, because they're not saying they found his body or his remains in the water. So he shot himself, somewhere where there was a good amount of area around him.
Right. The gun should be the easiest to find. The gun made of steel and everything else.
Exactly.
It should be there.
And I understand, that notebook was there for 5 weeks, so he was probably there for his body was probably there for 5 weeks or whatnot. But over 5 weeks, not enough dirt or this, that, and the third is going to bury that gun that far underground for you to not be able to find it.
Right. Something's definitely seems off about the gun.
Yeah.
So that's something we'll have to come back to in the future. And if there's any updates, we're going to do another Gabby Petito podcast. We might still, me and B were talking about it. We're going to do a live stream. I'm not sure yet. We're going to talk about it and discuss it and figure it out, because we could also just take this audio and upload it to the YouTube page and just slap a Truth Tracker picture up there, and people would be able to listen to it on YouTube. thing that sucks about that though is the people commenting and stuff. Unless we're in the room to talk to them while it's playing, they won't be able to talk directly with us while we're talking.
Right.
So yeah, me and B are gonna debate whether we'll probably do a live stream on this. So be looking forward to that. And then we have some other really interesting things. I mean, we wanted to go from murder investigations to where the hell is the aliens at. We want to investigate it all. So we have a lot of interesting things we want to get to in the future. And B seems like she's really interested in doing podcasts with me. So hey, I'm all for it.
It's enjoyable.
It's enjoyable.
It's enjoyable.
Right. All right. Well, damn, we went a whole hour and a half, B. we was kicking ass. Huh?
We done talked our ear off.
Yeah, we were kicking ass. All right, guys. Well, I think that about wraps up this week's. All right, guys. That about wraps up this podcast tonight on the Gabby Petito case. I'm glad that we finally got able to look into the letter while live on the air, and I want to say thank you to B for tuning in with me and helping me with this.
Thank you for having me, guys.
What'd you say? Say it again.
I said thank you for having me, guys.
We are happy to have you. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. Like I said, make sure you tune into our YouTube page. We put out a new YouTube video today. Me and Chiz, with the drones. He actually got a drone, and we went out and I showed off some of my drones and I taught him how to fly. There's going to be new videos coming out each and every week through October, and new podcasts coming out. I can't wait to start getting these videos released for you guys. It's been a long time coming. Sorry for the delay in podcast and videos, but we've been working our asses off to try to get ahead of the viewers, you guys, so that we can keep consistent content coming out each and every week. So I'm really sorry for the delay, and I really appreciate everyone who's stuck with me, who's still subscribed to the channel. Anyone who's new to the Truth Tracker podcast, definitely go over to YouTube and check us out, because we have some awesome videos on there. You can check us out at youtube.com/flightlife. Make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell for instant notifications. And if you're listening on the podcast and just audio is your thing, make sure you subscribe right here in the Anchor app or on Spotify, so that you can tune in each and every week, discuss things with us, and we'll be taking live call-ins soon, both on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, to talk with you guys, hear what your opinions are on things. So that about wraps it up tonight, guys. I'm Fate. Thank you, B, for tuning in with me and talking with me.
No problem, Fate. Again, thank you for having me, guys.
We appreciate having you. Have a good night, B, and the rest of the world, you guys have a good night. Until next time.